Welcome along to the beautiful Styrian Hills in Spielberg. It is time for the Austrian Grand Prix. It's round 10 in season 16 of the Wheel2wheel Racing AL2 Championship, and we're at the mighty Red Bull Ring here in the beautiful hills in Austria. It's a 2.68 mile circuit with 10 corners, 3 to the left and 7 to the right. There's 3 DRS zones and a whole lot of overtaking is going to be taking place today into turn 3 and into turn 4. We're going to have 71 laps of racing after qualifying today, and our tires are in the middle of the Pirelli range. We have the C2, C3, and C4 tires. That soft C4 tire is about 0.8 quicker than the mediums and about 1.2 seconds quicker than the hards, so a good mix of pace and tire life between our compounds. It should make for some interesting strategies for our drivers, as we now see our first drivers coming out of the pit lane. We are underway in qualifying. We look forward to another great race here at Wheel2wheel Racing.
Yes, most certainly. Thank you once again for having me here this evening, and if anything, our race on Wednesday is to go by. Tonight we'll be in for another treat, and hopefully a lot of close racing, lots of action, and maybe a few mistakes along the way as well.
Yeah, this track certainly provides excitement, if nothing else, consistently both in real life and in the game. It produces great racing. Hopefully we're in for another one here today.
Yeah, hopefully so. It's one of the easier tracks on the calendar to make an overtaking move. First half of the track in particular is where you'll primarily find all of your overtaking opportunities. I'm going to take this opportunity now to go on board with Blood and Sands, who's the first car out, to set a flying lap. He's out on the medium tyre as he blasts down the pit straight into turn 1, 4th or 3rd gear, depending on how you feel. Doesn't use all the track, but you want to try and take a straight line as possible down towards the brake zone turn 3. The kink here at turn 2 isn't really a corner for these F1 cars, but into turn 3, very tight corner, and traction always brakes on you on the exit. The 3rd DRS straight on this lap already, onto the last turn 4, downhill braking zone, tricky, easy to outbrake yourself, and easy to run wide onto the gravel on the outside. Kink of 5 leads you into the 2 left-handers on the middle sector, turn 6, and then again the beginning of sector 3 for turn 7. Kink of 8 again is just an acceleration zone, leads you towards the final 2 very fast right-handers of turn 9, then bring it down a couple more gears into turn 10, and then blast to the finish line. Unfortunately, Blood and Sands has just invalidated that lap on the final corner by cutting that final corner. But that is your lap here at Austria.
Yeah, and those final 2 corners can be such a test for our drivers, because you want to take them quickly because you can gain so much time if you nail it, but you always run that risk of running just a bit wide and going over that white line, and the track limits in this game take no exception to anybody. They will invalidate you if you're even an inch on the other side of that white line.
Yeah, the track limits here is primarily on the exit of the turns more so than cutting the inside curbs. Turn 9 is one of the trickiest corners on the track, and probably on one of the on the racing calendar itself, because it's so deceptive. You can take it so much faster than it seems possible. Going through turn 9, you always feel like the amount of speed you're carrying in, you're bound to run wide, and yet all of a sudden it just grips up, and you've probably left yourself so much margin to take it, probably with another gear still to hand. So yeah, you've really got to show your commitment here to obtain the optimum lap time to get yourself onto the pole position.
Yeah, it takes a lot of confidence to throw the car into turn 9 as well, as the track just sort of falls away from you mid-corner, going downhill. You just got to try and straighten it up by the exit and keep it within track limits.
Yeah, and 10 just comes at you instantly, so by the time you've navigated 9 and you're sort of breathing a sigh of relief that you've made it through safely, you're already into turn 10 and can easily cut the corner or run wide, and makes the entire lap completely in vain if you do reach those track limits.
Yeah, so just a few minutes into this qualifying session, just a single 18-minute qualifying session here at Wheel2wheel Racing. Woody Wolfie, the race winner of the past 2 races, is on provisional pole with a 103.4. Maxi in the Renault with a good time at a 104.090, and then a letdown Estate and CHM setting their first laps on the medium tire. We'll see if they stick with that or opt to go for a soft run here later in the session.
Yeah, Cal just moving into P3 on the medium on a 104.6. But that's a 1.2 off Woody on the slower tyre. The delta isn't as big as that, so I don't know if that's just maybe a banker lap there for Cal, just get a lap on the board, or whether there was a mistake there that I didn't quite catch because I didn't go on board with him until halfway around the lap. But I would personally say there's a bit more time there for Cal on those mediums.
Yeah, as you say, only 0.8 delta between the soft and the medium when they're both fresh, as they are here in qualifying. So maybe a bit more time for Cal to find if he wants to go back out on those mediums. All depends on what strategy he wants. Of course, only have that one set of mediums here in qualifying. Now we have...
One benefit of a track like this as well is with it so short and tyre wear is relatively low, you can do multiple runs and not take too much out of the tyre as well. So getting the first lap a little bit wrong isn't the end of the world here, as you can do a second run if you can keep the tyres in shape.
Yes, and we saw Xerxes in the Red Bull go 3rd fastest, also on the medium tire. Good lap from the Red Bull man, and he has a little spin coming out of turn 3. As you said, on our first flying lap of the session, the traction on the exit there can just disappear at times, and he got a little taste of it there.
Yes, and I don't think I'll be the last we'll see something like that either. Just watching old Dads finish up his lap. Gonna be about, 5th position, just behind Cal. Also on those mediums. A lot of the drivers preferring the medium tyre choice at the moment. I think we have been informed already that it's meant to be dry throughout the race today, so the lucky devils aren't going to have any weather like we had on Wednesday. For anyone who watched our race on Wednesday, it remained on the intermediates till about lap 50, which made it a real tricky challenge for us on Wednesday night.
Yeah, it was a big challenge for everybody, and some coped better than others. And that is for sure. It was a pretty forgettable race for some. I can speak for myself when I say that.
Yeah, it's I mean, the track, for those who run non-assist in particular, if you don't run traction control in the rain through turn 1, 3 and 4, it's more of a challenge just trying to keep the car in a straight line, especially out of turn 3, because the car wants to break out on you pretty much regardless of what setup you're running. So in the rain it did make it an extra challenge, and it was such close racing in the early laps as well, that one outbraking manoeuvre, and we'll have that in the drive for these guys as well, one outbraking manoeuvre, you could easily find yourself hitting the back of a car that you're not actually intending to try and overtake. Little lull in the session at the moment as everyone, bar Dino coming out the pit lane now, everyone else is back in the garage, sort of reviewing their lap times and getting ready for a second run, and then maybe even a third run at the end of the session if they're wanting to use up an additional set of tyres.
Yeah, it can be awkward sometimes in qualifying here. We have an 18-minute session, and the lap times are so short, so quick around here, that if you want to have fresh tires right at the end, which is where the track is in the best condition to set the optimal lap, you might find yourself just sitting in the pit lane for a few minutes here in the middle of the session. I think that's what we're seeing with most of our drivers.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Unlike tracks like, Spa and tracks where lap times are over a minute 40, those tracks, you just don't have the opportunity to sort of have a 2-minute, 3-minute break between runs to review what you've done. You've literally just got to come in, put a new set of tyres on and go out. A track like Austria, you have that luxury, in a way, to just kind of have a look at what's going on and then kind of react to it if need be. So it gives you time to just sit in the pit lane and have a look at what's going on out there.
Yeah, and our drivers will have access to all the lap times and sector times, as well as tire information that might help them out for the rest of qualifying and for the race ahead. So some valuable time for our drivers in the pit lane, as well as just to get their mind right personally, whatever they need to be doing before they go back out.
Yeah, the one thing obviously they won't be able to do too much of is obviously modify setups with part firmly on.
Yep.
They'll be limited to front wing angle, on throttle diff in particular. Very few limitations you can make changes on once you've uploaded a setup and left the pit lane. So what they tend to go out with is pretty much what they're stuck with. So yeah, they're not in there making modifications. They're just there using up time, really.
Now we do have a few cars out on track, and the man who is currently on the front row in the Renault, Maxi, coming around turn 4 on his second run. He's got a fresh set of softs on there. He's coming downhill. Is now into sector 3. There's a purple sector 2 lights up on the track map. And there's a 6/10 gap currently between Maxi and Woody on the front row. We'll see if he can close up that gap or maybe even jump the Racing Point man and grab provisional pole, but
oh, he's out of fuel. I think he's out of fuel.
He just lifts off before the line, and unclear as to why, but
yeah, the fuel light's on, so that's maybe what made me think he was out of fuel, but clearly not.
Oh, and Old Dads puts it on the front row.
And that's the third lap on that set of softs as well, so that just shows that these tyres do hold on for a good few runs.
Yeah, and I think that also shows that there's some more time to be found there for Old Dads if he can come back in and go out on a fresh set. There's another couple of tenths in there. He might be challenging Woody up there for pole. Great pace from Old Dads.
Yeah, very good pace, and he has got the time. 5 minutes to go, so he can easily get into the pit lane, put a new set on, and do a couple of runs on another set if he wants to. Oh, Silver Slugger's had a spin out of turn 3. I think he's knocked his wing. I think it's hard to see from this angle here, but and maybe some damage on that front wing there. Not sure what's going on with the Haas guys, but neither of them have managed to set a flying lap at the moment.
Yeah, and we've seen Blood and Sand at times this season start further back in the grid that maybe he would have liked after qualifying, but then the way he's able to just work his way through the field is really great to see at times. So maybe he'll be hoping for another one of those performances today.
Yeah, his race pace in recent weeks has definitely been very, very good and has put himself in very good positions. James Laws has just moved up to P3 on a 104.3 on the soft tyre. Cal looks like he's just selected the softs. I was wondering if he was actually going to sit in the pit lane and commit to the mediums, but I think starting 6th on the grid is not where he wants to be, so I think you'll see the likes of Xerxes and Cal come back out for another run.
And now Silver Slugger on another flying lap, and this one is able to navigate turn 3 pretty smoothly, and he swings the car around turn 4 nicely. Some yellow flags ahead in the shape of a racing point. Hopefully there's no interference there, but Silver Slugger looking to improve on that time, but 116 surely he will close the gap to CHM in 10th, who's a 106.4. Silver Slugger cuts the last corner just a little bit, just turned in a bit too quick, and that lap is invalidated.
It'll be wise for him to, obviously he's that invalidation cut in the final corner, you invalidate that lap and the following lap, so there's no real point for him to speed around this lap unless he simply hasn't got the fuel to do another run, but he's going to be running out of time to get a lap in if he hasn't got the fuel to just simply do another lap on this set he's currently on. There's
a bit of rain coming down, isn't there?
Or yeah, there is. Yes, there is.
Very light rain at the moment, but as we said earlier, some drivers may be wanting to wait to the last couple minutes of the session because normally with track evolution, that's when the track is at its best. But this little bit of rain will not be helping with that.
No, not at all. And if they were going to be coming out to do a final run, you want to be out about now, so you don't end up taking too much life out of the tyre before you start your flying lap. So I think a lot of these guys are in the pits for the rest of the session.
Yeah, maybe they saw a bit of that weather and decided it's not even worth coming back out with the track conditions as they are.
Woody's showing that the track is still there at the moment. He's just gone 0.02 quicker in the first sector than his previous best, and he's backed out of it. Maybe he didn't have the traction out of 3.
Yeah, maybe
the track was still there.
Maybe it just crossed his mind looking at the track map and seeing that his pole time is going to stand, so he might as well just save these tires for the race.
Possibly. Last minute move out of the way of Silver Slugger there. Yeah, only 3 cars out on track at the moment, and Silver runs wide out the second to last corner. The game didn't invalidate him though.
He's put it into the top 10.
But he was miles off the track though on the outside of turn 9 though.
It is interesting with this game. Sometimes if you go way off the track, it might just think, well, no way you could have possibly gained time by going that far off, so it doesn't penalize you, but anytime it seems to be marginal, it doesn't hesitate to invalidate your lap. But luckily for Silva, that lap time will stand and he moves himself into the top 10.
I wish the game was a little bit more consistent, because I was sideways in our race on Wednesday coming out of the kink of 8 and I still got a track limits warning.
Yeah.
There is obviously the odd consistency issue with the track limits on this game. It mostly you don't tend to see too much difference between drivers in terms of how far you go off to get a warning, but when you go that far wide, as you say, it sometimes seems to think that you've not gained an advantage even though you're actually going to improve. That's the end of our quali.
Yep, that is that. Nobody else on a flying lap at the moment. Checker flags out. And it is Woody Wolfie, the man on form, who takes pole in Austria. He'll be starting on the front row with Old Dads in the Ferrari. Maxi in the Renault starting third, and then the first of our medium runners after that qualifying session will be James Laws in fourth, followed by Zooks. He's also on the mediums. Cal, not sure if he set a lap on the softs. I think he'll still be starting on the mediums in sixth. Then we have Dino in seventh, Prev in Ferrari in eighth, Letdown Estate in ninth. Silva Slugger rounds out the top 10 on his soft run. And then it is CHM in the Mercedes, who get a free choice of tire in 11th, and so will Blood and Sand in 12th, having not set a time.
Yeah, maybe Blood and Sand thinking not setting a lap time on the medium, it wasn't worth starting on the softs in his opinion, so he just decided to sit out the rest of qualifying and get that free choice in the race.
Yeah, and both him and CHM, the only drivers on the grid that'll have a free choice of what they start on, and that can be a big advantage depending on how the race goes. Be on fresher tires than all those guys in front of you.
Yeah, you do. You just got to try and keep out of trouble out of the first few corners here. Make sure you don't get caught up with anything in front of them if there is any collisions or carnage that may occur here, which is quite common here as well.
Couple of comments on the stream as we have just a few minutes until lights out, as our drivers will do whatever they need to do to prepare for a 100% distance race. It'll be 71 laps here at the Red Bull Ring. Bloomstar 1986, the legend, saying good luck everyone, and James Anderson saying good luck Callum, and I believe that is his teammate in the McLaren who's not able to be here today, wishing Callum good luck. And then Xerxes saying Silva has his own track with that going wide at turn 9. Track limits don't apply to him, according to the game, but
yeah, it would have been more controversy if they actually gained more positions out of it, but yeah, I don't think it was too much in that really.
yeah, no, and
he wouldn't have gained any time out of it. I've also had Bloom comment on my stream again saying good luck everyone as well, so he's doing the full rounds on both our streams this evening. Now with go on.
I was just gonna say, speaking of Bloom, this is usually the time where he likes to run through the drivers and constructors standings. So we have Cal in the McLaren leading the drivers' championship by 73 points. He's got 281. His next closest rival has 208. So Cal leading the way with Woody Wolfe closing in the last couple of weeks with those race wins. He's on 208 points. And then third, we have Xerxes. And then Sega Takaz in fourth. Old Dads is in fifth. And then James in the other McLaren is sixth. Prev in seventh. A Letdown Estate is in eighth. Blood and Sand is ninth. CHM 10th. Maxi in the Renault is 11th. Dino 12th. James Laws 13th. Silva Slugga 14th. And that rounds out our current drivers' standings. And in the constructors, we have McLaren leading the way with the help of the championship leader, really giving them a boatload of points so far this season. So McLaren leading the way with 431 points. Big gap to Red Bull behind. They're on 303 points. And then close behind them is Ferrari with 300 points. So just 3 points difference between second and third. And then Racing Point in fourth with 236 points, followed by Williams with 159. Haas close behind with 154. And then Mercedes are seventh, followed by Renault and AlphaTauri. So not really any battles at the top of either championship, but there is close battles throughout the midfield in both. So definitely some championship battles we'll keep our eyes on as we get toward the business end of this season. Should be exciting to see how things play out.
The main one in constructors for AL2 at the moment is the battle for second between Red Bull and Ferrari, with those just a couple of points between them. That is going to be a battle that will go on throughout the season. I kind of jinxed Ferrari last week, saying that they had an advantage to pull that gap back, since they had 2 cars to the Red Bull's 1 last week at France, but unfortunately the Ferraris didn't end up having the best races, and a few people said it might have been down to my comments, throwing a Murrayism in there. So I will not make any predictions this week to so I don't upset the apple cart.
And we are just a few seconds from our drivers getting back out on track and on the grid. Another comment on the stream, Slugga himself saying Slug got lucky. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, you're not gonna deny that.
Yeah, but he is happy about the top 10, so good for him. And hope that it will turn that qualifying position into a positive race performance, as we are now underway on the formation lap. Our drivers will get their tires up to temperature to start the 71 laps ahead.
Difference in opinion in the tyres for the two drivers at the back who had free choice. CHM choosing that medium to start on with. Blood and Sands actually opting for the soft, which actually surprises me, to be honest. One of the reasons why I thought he didn't go out in the end was because he didn't want to burn a set of softs, but he's chosen to start on them anyway.
And so on the quicker tire, he's got a lot of medium runners ahead, so maybe Blood and Sand will be hoping to cut his way through the field on this first stint.
Yeah, most definitely. So just keep out of trouble on the opening corners, opening laps. Don't knock your wing, and then just build your race up. That's all you can really do.
And there's a lot of. Go ahead.
I was going to say it is relatively easier to overtake here, so you can show an element of patience around here to make an overtake stick. Yeah,
there's a lot of tricky corners that we start races on. Circuit of the Americas and Spa spring to mind, but the run down into turn 3 at the Red Bull Ring is right up there with the trickiest of them, because everybody's flying full speed up the hill towards turn 3 and then trying to go 2x2 or even 3 wide at times through turn 3 can be so difficult. So hopefully we see some action, but hopefully all of our drivers are able to make it out in one piece, as they are now coming back on the grid and we are just about ready to get underway. I will let you take it away, Vern.
Lovely, thank you very much. Yeah, they're all lining up on the grid now. We are about to get the 5 red lights. There we go, 2, 3, 4 and 5 red lights. And we are underway here at Austria. Very even start across all the grids. Woody does get the breakaway from Old Dads into turn 1. James Laws makes the move up into P3 straight away on Maxi, and behind them they are too wide, falling into line now on the run up to turn 3. Will we see any? Oh, Maxi has hit the back of James Laws, and there is that dreaded front wing already scattering itself across the racetrack, being bounced around by the cars there as we run down to turn 4. Woody has got the breakaway from Old Dads. James Law up to 3rd, Maxi down to 4th with that damage to his left end plate on his the front of his car. Cow has made a position up to 5th. He's got ahead of Xerxes, who has dropped down to 6th, and he's got Dino alongside him as they come out of turn 8 on the approach to the final 2 corners in 7th place. A letdown Estate has made up a position into 8th. He's got ahead of Prev, who's dropped down to 9th. London Sands has made up 2 positions already, up to 10th, and into the top 10 already, gaining 2, ahead of CHM, who has stayed in 11th, and Silver Slugger, who has dropped down to the back of the field into P12. As the leaderboard now does its thing of confusing us.
I think Woody's trying to check out here. Him and Old Dad's got away really well, clear the pack, but there's still a lot to sort out throughout this midfield.
Xerxes hit the back of Cow into turn 3. Both of them end up running wide on turn 3, and I'm pretty certain Xerxes will have damage to his front wing. Again, doing what we said can so easily happen.
Oh, and a letdown Estate. Going up the inside at turn 4, making a little contact with Dino in the Alpha Tauri, but he muscles his way past. They're still side by side into 5, but a letdown estate's able to make up that position, but no, Dino's coming back at him.
Yeah, letdown estate was wide coming out of turn 6, and that gave Dino the run back at him through 7. That's a very good move through turn 7. You don't tend to see overtaking moves into there. Xerxes does indeed pit to repair that front wing. What a shame for him. Good thing for him is there are plenty of laps to go to recover this, so it's not the end of the day for him. Yeah, and old Dad's, I did not see him go off. He's been off. He's also in the pits. We have a Racing Point 1-2 at the front of the field.
Oh, and a letdown estate, and Dino going at it again, this time at turn 3. And now Blood and Sand having to go at a letdown estate, and he might be getting 2 cars on one straight here as he's got a great run up towards turn 4, down the inside, Blood and Sand up into P5. What a start from the Haas man.
Most definitely. He's obviously going to be a favourite for you, being a Haas car. Up 7 positions already, and we're only halfway through lap 3. He has used up all his ERS available to him this lap, but he's used it to great effect. And he is checking out away from Dino already and on the move to see if he can do anything about Cal and the 3 other cars in front of him.
Yeah, and he's already... Well, he hasn't quite broken DRS to Dino, so maybe Dino will be able to crawl his way back through these 3 DRS straights that start the lap here at the Red Bull Ring. But a letdown estate.
Dino didn't get the good run out of turn 1 though, so he's not going to get the DRS down into turn 4.
Yeah, and he's going to start having to worry about defending as he goes a bit wide at turn 3, and that opens the door for a letdown estate. He gets a great run out of turn 3 and looks to be clear of the AlphaTauri as they come towards turn 4.
Yeah, easily done with the DRS there. He got the run, and the move was done even before he got to the corner. He was even able to make it back onto the racing line to take the corner how he wanted to. Now can a letdown estate keep up with Blood and Sands and try and work his way through the field with him? Can he keep up? Can Blood and Sands do anything about the guys ahead? Meanwhile, Woody, for every race that I've been commentating with you guys, is once again checking out at the front. It's 5 seconds clear at the beginning of lap 5. But what a perfect scenario for Racing Point. They couldn't have hoped for a better start. For them to be 1 and 2. Maxi just about holding on to James Law in 3rd at the moment. Top 3 are all on those soft tyres, so all will be doing, we think, relatively similar-ish strategies to begin with. The first driver on the medium is Cal in P4, but he is 3 seconds off Maxi. As we've got CHM, Silver Slugger and Prev all going at it at turn 4.
Oh, and Prev's going to send it up the inside. And Silva goes a bit wide, and that's a spin for the Haas, and he's into the wall. And that'll be wing damage for Silva Slugger.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's another wing gone already, so that's 3, at least maybe 4 now we've seen broken already. As Xerxes makes his way past Silver Slugger, back up into the top 10 now. Xerxes has got a 12-second gap to the pack to try and get himself back into this race. Dino hasn't given up on a letdown estate, back under 6 tenths.
Yeah, and that can be the power of DRS here, as a letdown estate might feel as though he's got a bit more pace, but Dino, so much more straight line speed with that DRS, and he's using his overtake too. Try and close the gap as they come towards turn 4. He might have a look, he might be a bit too far back, and he is this time around. Oh, and he makes a little bit of contact.
That's another wing. Oh dear me, I think the heavy fuel might be catching a few people out here, because that's another wing. There'll be another repair there, unfortunately, this time affecting Dino. That should alleviate the pressure from a letdown estate. He should have the tools now to pull away. With the extra downforce he will now have against the driver behind him.
Yeah, now Prev inching closer to the back of CHM. He's going to get a triple dose of DRS here if he wants it, but he might try and make the move down into turn 3 before that third DRS straight. We'll see who gets the better run out of turn 1. CHM gets a great run, and we know he likes to run low downforce and has great straight line speed. And he's through turn 2 and into turn 3 before Prev can make up any ground whatsoever.
Yeah, one more DRS straight to try and get past CHM here, but once again, as you say, CHM with great straight line speed, and he's not using his overtake either, so that's generic top end speed that Mercedes has currently got. It's not going to make it easy at all for Prev to get by. He's going to have to look at either a lunge or try and get the traction out of one of the corners to make a move. As Maxi into the pits already.
Well, that's an early stop.
That front wing, or is that just strategy? Oh, it's a front wing.
There is a front wing change, wow. So that is 4 or 5 now drivers that have needed a wing change here in the opening 8 laps.
Onto the medium, but again, he's now going to find himself behind Xerxes, who lost his wing earlier in the race. So again, got to play catch up now, and just hope to recover as many points in the in this race today. Woody's I was going to say Woody's nearly 10 seconds clear already.
This time around, though, Prev is a bit closer to CHM on the exit of turn 3, and he's going to send it up the inside at turn 4, and there's a little bit of contact there, but Prev is trying to force his way past. CHM not giving it up easy as they're still side by side down the hill through the next left-hander, and CHM pulls off some brilliant defending and keeps 7th.
That was definitely brilliant defending to get the run down into turn 6, to get that inside line, to get that track position, just to keep that position ahead of Prev, and then to hold on. Absolutely great driving there. So I think we saw while that was going on, we had Dino get the first penalty of the day.
Now Prev still right on the back of that Mercedes. He's got a lot of overtake to work with, much more than CHM in front, but he's opting not to use it. He might just try and get a run down into turn 4 like he did last lap, but this time it's a much better exit from
Xerxes spun in the background.
Oh!
Xerxes was right on the back of Prev coming out of turn 3, and he's lit the rears up, and round it went. And that's let Maxi through, and Xerxes once again have to rebuild and catch the pack up again. Lots of little errors, a lot of drivers seemingly struggling, it looks like, on this heavier fuel at the moment.
Yeah, didn't see exactly what happened with Xerxes, but it doesn't look like he got any sort of damage from it.
No, he got it stopped before the wall, but what you and I were talking about before the stream went live about potentially how many cars we might see get lapped, we've already had the first lap car of the day. With all the issues and broken wings we've seen today, Woody has already lapped Silver Slugger.
And now this battle for 7th just got a bit more interesting now that Maxi's looking to join. In the Renault, he's on fresh mediums, and he's looking to make a move. Gets a great run out of turn 3 on Prev, and they'll both have DRS down towards turn 4. Maxi looks like he's got just a bit better straight line speed than the Ferrari, and he is through up the inside into 8th, and now he'll have a go at CHM in 7th.
Very clean move down into turn 4. Got the inside line, as you said, they both had DRS, so it would have been relatively even top end speeds that they would have had going into that corner, but Maxi got the inside line, got it stopped cleanly, no evidence of a lockup, and he's now straight onto CHM to try and make a move into P7.
He's wasting...
May have a look into turn 1.
Yeah, he's wasting no time getting on the overtake button. This is probably the trickiest of the 3 corners to overtake with DRS, but...
I think Maxi was trying to make sure he left CHM enough room on the outside, and that's allowed Prev to get past CHM as well, and a run back on Maxi. As he has a look into turn 3, but gets it stopped, but doesn't quite make the move stick. Maxi gets the traction out of 3 to not be in trouble for turn 4.
So CHM losing out in 2 positions in 1 corner there at turn 1. As I said, it's going to be such a tricky place to go side by side through. It is deceptively sharp. Once you hit that apex, that outside curve sort of angles itself further to the right than is really comfortable for our drivers. And now CHM's got some more defending to think about, as Xerxes is right on his gearbox. They come around the final 2 corners, and Xerxes is going for a move into turn 10. Not a place we normally see overtaking, but he gets it done. What a move from Xerxes.
Absolutely brilliant move. He took advantage of CHM being a little wide through 9, which made him a little bit slower on the exit of turn 9, and just took the opportunity and shoved it up the inside of turn 10, not taking any prisoners there whatsoever. And he's instantly on the back of Prev, and the other Ferrari, Old Dad, is on the back of CHM as well. So CHM's troubles aren't over yet.
And further
up, go here from Prix 7 downwards.
Further up the field, though, we've got a battle for that final podium position at the moment. Cal on the mediums has done really well to get himself up into 3rd, but Blood and Sand has had a pretty phenomenal start himself, starting from 12th all the way up to 4th, and he's got DRS on the McLaren.
As a letdown estate gets a penalty. Cal, once again, as I've again witnessed in the races I've commentated so far, he does not use his overtake barely at all, does he? He always has near a full battery every time I go on board with him, which is a brilliant tactic for him to have, because that makes him very, very difficult to overtake. But yeah, I hadn't seen that Blood and Santa caught the back of him, and they're both inching up to James Laws as well, so this could become a 3-way battle for P2 in a couple of laps' time.
And this might be the time for Xerxes. He's gotten a decent exit out of turn 3. He's got DRS on Prev. He's going to have to send it up the inside. He's side by side in the braking zone. A little bit of a lockup, but he gets the car stopped, and he's ahead of Prev up into 8th for Xerxes.
As Cal pits.
Oh, wow.
12 laps on that can't... Has he got damage as well? We've not seen. No, there's no wing change there. It's a change of tyres onto the soft. 12 laps on the 13 laps on those mediums. That's very early.
Very early, and I think we've seen him go for some interesting strategy calls in the past, as he's, as you say, right next to Dino on pit exit.
And using his overtake to ensure that Dino doesn't get the opportunity to have a look into turn 3. But yeah, an interesting strategy call there from Cal. That's not even half a stint distance on those mediums, I wouldn't even say.
No, it's not. It's
because you can get the softs about 30 odd laps, so 13 laps on the medium is a really interesting and brave strategy call to make. Maybe he just felt that he just did not have the pace on those mediums, having qualified on them, and he's maybe looking to just do a soft stint right to the end of this race, try and bring himself back into the action. It's James Laws pits off those softs.
Yeah,
again a little early.
Now got Blood and Sand up into 2nd place, which is phenomenal. What a first stint from Blood and Sand.
Yeah, back of the grid to 2nd in this race with only 15 laps gone. 20 seconds to the leader, unfortunately. Woody has made sure he has checked out once again, and he's so nearly got a pit stop advantage. Another 5 or 6 seconds, he will have a pit stop advantage over the field already as he pits now. So expect to see Blood and Sands take the lead if he stays out. I believe it's a long pit exit, but then again, speaking of which, Blood and Sands hasn't had the best final few corners, which might mean Woody might still get out in front here. He will do, quite easily actually. So I will shut up.
It just shows to how much pace Woody had in that first stint, but now we've got Xerxes going for another move into turn 9, and he's made that one stick as well. Some great moves from Xerxes here as he tries to work his way back through the field.
Yeah, and Cal made his way past of Letdown Estate as well, back into P3, having made that early stop off the mediums. Now Cal will try and work his way to gain on Blood and Sands before Blood and Sands does make his first pit stop. Xerxes, having passed Dino, is now looking at Maxi. He'll have DRS on Maxi. He won't be close enough for an overtake this time around. He'll look to build it and have a go on the next lap, I would have said.
Yeah, now we're starting to see a wide variety of strategies coming into play, whether it be from starting tires or early pits for wing changes. There's a huge mix of strategies that are... I don't think any two drivers are on the same strategy at this point. It's pretty crazy seeing all those differences.
Yeah, once again, it's a little bit difficult to actually follow and find where people are on their strategy. We're starting to see some penalties build up as well. So at the moment, we've got a Letdown Estate, Old Dads, Dino and Prev on 3 seconds worth of penalties, and Silver Slugger has built up 6 seconds already after 17 laps. So Xerxes does make that move on Maxi on the approach to turn 3.
Yeah, nice and easy, got it done. Oh no.
Left. No. That just looked like just a generic disconnection, but oh man.
It's very unfortunate after the start he's had.
Hopefully he can get himself back in that car quickly and not lose too much time, but that will allow Cal to close that gap down a lot quicker than it would have been at this point in time.
And meanwhile, James Law's getting himself a bit further back up, getting past the Letdown Estate. Of course, 15 lap difference in those tires between those two cars, so James Law is feeling a lot more grip and having that bit more pace. But Letdown Estate is not going away. He's going to have DRS, and he's right on the back of him with a full bank of overtake. And he might have a go up the inside as they climb the hill towards turn 3.
James not giving up around the outside though, and holds it around the outside. And I think, interesting enough, the game decided not to give either of them DRS on the run down to turn 4. They must have been identical over the detection point.
So now James Law's be wanting to pull away there.
Maxi is pulling himself back in on Xerxes. And Xerxes also closes down his teammate.
Yeah, we'll see how the Red Bull pit wall plays this. If they give a little team orders here, or if it Letdown Estate. We know he doesn't mind battling with teammates. Last season we saw him and his teammate, the retired legend Dastardly, when they were at Ferrari together. They had some great battles last season, so we know he's not going to back down from his teammate. We'll see how he approaches this one as Xerxes doesn't go for a move into turn 3.
He's got to be careful. He was lifting very early on the approach to turn 3, and that nearly let Maxi have a way back by. So he's got to be careful if he's trying to play the team game of staying behind a Letdown Estate for the time being. Because, yeah, if he's not careful, Maxi will try and capitalise on these Red Bulls seemingly holding station for the time being.
Yeah, Renault is ready to pounce, and Xerxes is just getting closer and closer every corner to his teammate.
And let
And
down the state seems to be letting him through now, actually.
a little bit of team orders there. Probably the right thing to do with Xerxes being on the softer tire. And is that CHM?
Yeah, CHM has had a spin coming out of turn 3.
Yeah, one of the most difficult places on the calendar to get that power down and get good traction on corner exit. Now we have Maxi making a move, getting past a letdown estate, up into 6th for the Renault.
One of the easier moves we'll see today. The move was done even before the corner. That just shows the power of that DRS. Everyone from 7th down, currently running around with at least 1 penalty as well. So they are starting to build up, unfortunately. I don't think we saw too many in our race to the point that people were going to be affected by position drops. We didn't see that many penalties get racked up on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think maybe the wet weather playing a part in that is, you know, these final 2 corners especially, you just send it in when the track's in peak condition like this, but when it's wet you really got to be careful and really slow the car down a lot more than you normally would, so it's very cautious in the wet, which means you're not as likely to run wide going as quickly.
We're going to have a battle in theory for P3 in a moment, with Blood and Sand still not having made his way back into this lobby, unfortunately. It's going to mean James Lord is about to take P3, but James Lord has got Xerxes and Maxi catching him quite quickly at the moment. And we're going to have a 3-way battle for P3 again very, very soon.
Oh, and old dad's just going around the outside of a letdown estate through turn 6. Another place we don't normally see overtaking, but old dad's on the softer tire, and we know he's got great pace and he gets that move done.
Yeah, again, another very good move. Really showing there are more than just turns 1, 3 and 4 here to make those overtaking opportunities. Very unusual overtaking spots being demonstrated here today, as Maxi also now gets a 3-second penalty. I think he navigated Blood and Sand's ghosting car at turn 1, which may have slightly distracted him there.
A letdown estate fighting back at old dad's though, and old dad's is trying to get him right back as they come towards turn 4. A letdown estate has the inside line, just about gets the space, and old dad's runs wide.
Old dad's tried to take the inside line into the corner. He tried cutting across, but a letdown estate just kept his nose there, would not let him have that luxury of turning in on him. And old dad's unfortunately running out wide, which lets a letdown estate back through.
I think a letdown estate's going to be the beneficiary of some DRS off the back of Blood and Sand. His AI controlled car is going around very slowly, unfortunately, after the start that he had.
Xerxes as who's
Prev in
has spun
the final sector. Maybe had a moment through turn 9.
He's missing some of his wing as well. Right hand side of his wing appears to be somewhat reduced in its elements, but Xerxes has got himself onto the gearbox of James Lord, and this battle for P3 is now on as they navigate their way through turns 6 and 7, and Xerxes runs out wide and gets a penalty as a result. Dino's left. Couple of cars now disconnected from this race.
Yeah, not something you want to see, but Xerxes not wasting any time going for a move into turn one, but just has to give way as James Laws had the inside line. But lucky for the Red Bull man, there's another DRS straight immediately after, and that is James Laws into the wall.
What a strange little incident there. James Law's car's just darted left into the wall, and he's broken his wing. Oh, as Maxi takes him down to the inside. What a shame. Racing Point were looking good for such a strong result with the combined two cars, and now James Laws is he's surely gonna have to box for a new wing.
That was a very strange place to lose the car there, really before corner entry at the top of the hill. Just went straight into the wall.
I'm not sure if he was a little distracted by the cars behind him as he struggles to make it through turn 9 and takes the adventurous line into the pit lane. As old dad pits again for the second time.
And now the only one who is yet to pit is the old veteran at Letdown Estate. Still on those same mediums that he started on. He's got himself up to 5th. Running a pretty clean race so far.
Yeah, he's just kept himself out of trouble. Looks after his car, looks after his tyres, and those mediums can go another 10 laps at least, you would say, if he keeps those tyres in check. And then have the choice of whether does he go hards and do a one stop or do just soft stints to the end on a 2-stop strategy.
Yeah, the options are endless here around the Red Bull Ring. Go any which way. And CHM just getting past the ghosted car of Dino there.
Xerxes is in the pits after 21 laps on his soft tyres.
That is about a normal stint for the soft tires, I would say. So a good stint for Xerxes to get himself back in the race after having to have that early pit stop. He's right back in the thick of it now.
Yep, and he'll rejoin back in P5, so in a strong position to get a good handful of points, having broken his wing in the early stages of the race here. James Laws now to get a penalty while he's trying to recover the time lost from that strange incident that cost him his front wing. Now only got, well, we've got the two drivers at the front, Woody and Cal, not on a penalty. Blood in the Sands isn't shown as having a penalty, but of course he's not here at the moment. It's his ghost card going around at the moment, unfortunately. But the two runaway leaders of this championship have equal distances to the car behind them, both 18.7, 18.8 seconds behind to the car behind them. It's evenly spread out between the top three. One thing to mention as well is Woody and Cal from Silverstone will be in AL1, won't they?
Yes.
They're joining AL1 from Silverstone. They'll be teaming up together in the McLaren. I've kindly stepped aside to let them have their McLaren of choice. I've made way and moved it into the Renault for the remainder of the AL1 season.
It'll be interesting to see how their pace is compared to the midfield in AL1. I think they've certainly got AL1 pace. I think they'll have no problem fitting in, but it'll be interesting to see how they adjust in terms of really having to battle for every position and every lap. Because races like today, Woody's just checked out and had nobody near him all race, and that just won't be the case in AL1.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot more happening around them in the AL1 races. Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see where they fit, as Woody sets a fastest lap, where they fit into the pecking order in terms of pace. But I'm sure either way that they will fit in absolutely fine and have no issues with being moved up to AL1 mid-season.
Yeah, and we saw earlier this lap CHM putting a good move around the outside of Silva Slugga at turn 4, and now Slugga's having to think about defending a little more as now the red Ferrari of Prev is right on his gearbox and gets a good run out of turn 1, but Slugga's still having DRS from that Mercedes in front of him. Oh, but Prev's gonna send it up the inside anyways. Slugga hanging it out around the outside, doing really well to keep his car on the track. But he just slots in behind the Ferrari. As they come towards turn 4, Prev has got the position up into 10th.
That was a very, very late move into turn 3 from Prev there. He seemed to be miles back. Not in a position to even think about outbraking. But not only did he actually attempt it, he managed to put it off and get it stopped.
Yeah, and
that didn't look possible from how far back he was initially.
Fair play to both drivers there for Prev able to get the car stopped at such a tight corner, braking so late, and then Silva Slugga for being able to see the move and leave the space and also keep his own car on the track as well. Great driving from our boys.
You would not have been at all surprised with any driver to have not seen that move coming and just to turn in as Prev now makes the move for CHM. The exact same corner 1 lap later. Just about gets his stop this time, but CHM is going to have a run back at him. CHM with a DRS.
And CHM,
that's going to be in
closes
contact.
The door on him, and Prev goes round. Luckily, it wasn't a full spin, so it won't cost him too much time, but really unfortunate for Prev. CHM turned in, wasn't clear of the Ferrari yet, and just a little bit of contact sent the Ferrari into a little half spin.
Don't think I saw any wing get broken there on the Ferrari. I think it was more wheel contact that he suffered there, but yeah, not what he needs. Just looking to be making a couple of moves there to get himself into 9th place, which would have become 8th because the car ahead is Blood and Sand's Ghost car. So in theory that would have been 8th place. He would have pretty much taken there when everything fell in place. But he's got to regroup and go again. As I'm just going to go on board with Woody just to see how simple it looks for him inside the car, and there's no real corrections. He's not using all the track. He's just again making sure, because of the gap he's got, he's just making sure he doesn't risk any track limits. He's driving well within himself right now, and to still have that pace as well just shows the speed this guy does have.
And we've got another battle between teammates here at Red Bull for the second time today. Xerxes has caught the back of his teammate, and for the second time today, Letana State gets out of his way, being on the slower and much older tires out of the two of them. Still does.
Xerxes running wide, out of 9 there as well, getting another penalty, which puts him on 6 seconds.
Still those same tires for Letana State, though. Great first stint for him.
Yeah, he's definitely taken those tyres to the full capabilities of their stint length. Who's that? Silva Slugga that's spun. Yep, Silva Slugga's gone off at turn 4. And that's allowed Prev to regain one of the places that he lost a few laps ago. Old Dad's closing in on a letdown estate as well. A letdown estate on those old mediums. So wouldn't be at all surprised to see Old Dad's closing in at the rate he is. When does a letdown estate decide the pits? Surely you'll be getting to the point where there's just no pace benefit out of those tyres. He's just doing it purely to help his stint lengths later in the race on what I would assume now will be 2 soft stints. If he was going to go hards, I think he will have hit it by now.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a medium soft strategy for him. And they can go a maximum of 42 laps, but of course you don't want to go all the way up to that number of 42, because that's when the tires are really at their worst. So he's definitely getting to that stage here, but I think he could get a few more laps out of him, and then, as you say, set himself up for a couple of soft stints and being on the ideal tire the rest of the way. I mean, he's doing well to hold off Old Dad's here as well.
Yeah, he is. Old Dad's has got to be careful not to go into the back of him with that massive pace difference there will be with the two different tyres that they're on, and Old Dad's on the much younger, faster set of tyres. He has just got to make sure he doesn't run into the back of him. Speaking in the maximum sort of stint length for the mediums of being 42 laps, you'll be surprised to see him take it that long. Because you do risk punches, you do risk just simply running out of grip. And with a track like this where you need the traction, it's probably not always the wisest thing to go that long, but if you can make them last, if you make them work, then there's no reason why you can't.
Ooh, Old Dad's having a look. He had a look at the inside, then had a look at the outside. Now he's squeezing his way through turn 5, and he is past the letdown estate finally after a couple of laps of looking at that Red Bull gearbox, up into 5th for Old Dad's.
Yeah, got the traction and used his overtake to get last past him through the kink of 5 before the turn of turn 6. Which was a very good move. Letdown estate does continue though. How long will he go? He's got a gap behind him where he'll feed in behind James Laws. There is a big enough gap there to only lose 1 position when he does pit. And then he will have the advantage of being on the youngest tyre life out there. Because I think Cal's just pitted for the 2nd time, so he's now all of a sudden on fresh softs again. Which is why we see Woody now have a 43 second lead. All a little strung out at the moment. Not a lot of battles out there right now, but with the different strategies that we've seen due to the collisions we've seen, due to front wing brakes, and just generic early pit stops that we've seen from a couple of guys as well. Hopefully it will close itself back up once everyone has made their stops. We might just have to wait a little while all the chess pieces fall into place. Yeah, letdown estate can't go too many more laps because those tyres just simply won't provide him the grip he needs. Where are we at? Prev has closed up to within 3 seconds of CHM again. So hopefully he'll be hoping to catch him back up and then make the move that didn't quite pay off about 5-6 laps ago. Runs it a little deep into turn 1. He's got Cal coming up to him to lap him. Cal letting off the accelerator a little bit to make sure he gets the DRS on the run down to turn 4. But didn't get it anyway. That's interesting. He was definitely behind him at the detection point, but for some reason the game didn't give it to him. Cal is setting purple sectors on those fresh tyres, so I would expect to see him set a fastest lap at this stage of the race.
Yeah, he's certainly the quickest man on track today, so now being on the quickest tire of anybody certainly
Woody
wouldn't
has just
be a
made his second
surprise.
stop. So Woody's now got slightly fresher tyres and will look to take that fastest lap back.
Oh yes, Woody.
105.8.
So I thought you said Woody for the fastest lap, as he is now on those fresh softs.
Yeah, so I'd expect him to take that fastest lap back in a couple of laps' time.
Yeah.
Or at least challenge for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And he also has the luxury, Woody, of being so far out in front. He can have a lap or two where he builds up his ERS and saves a bit of fuel so he can give it the beans on one lap and really go for that fastest lap. It's every point counts. So we get that.
Just seeing a message on the Discord group chat. Looks like Dino's game crashed on him.
Oh no.
He had the blue screen error occurred on him there, unfortunately. So that's what kicked him out of this race. And reading his message, he is quite angry at the fact that the game has effectively kicked him out. Maxi pits for the second time. Woody does set a purple middle sector. Will he take that fastest lap of a 1 minute 5.8 away from Cal at this stage of the race? Obviously the fastest lap should get reduced further later in the race.
There it is.
Does. 1 minute 5.6, about nearly 3/10 quicker. That's 2.28 tenths quicker, sorry.
Now, Maxi came out of the pits right behind it, let down a stay, but he's wasted no time getting clear of the Red Bull. He's still on those same tires. Incredible.
I was going to say, I'm not surprised by how quick that was. That move was made. There's 38 laps of tyre life difference between the two of them. I mean, on Wednesday I took my intermediates 42 laps before I had to pit. But these mediums should not be really going this far.
He's, as you said, certainly getting the most out of them at this point. Let down a state, and are fixing to have another little battle between Prev and CHM here. So Prev has closed that gap to within a second now.
Yeah. The one problem a let down a state has is, yeah, he's getting those tyres to last. The problem is his lap times at the moment are about 5 seconds slower than the leaders. So, although he's making them last and it may benefit him later on, he's losing a bundle of time right now.
Yeah, he is certainly a short-term loss, but hopefully what he'll be thinking is that it'll be a long-term gain, as he'll be able to be on fresher tires for the rest of the race.
CHM clobbered the little raised curb on the final corner, and I was on board with Prev, and CHM was completely off the ground.
Yeah.
He clobbered that final curb as they navigate Blundersand's ghosted Haas car. A bit further up the track, Maxi has gone to the back of James Laws. Maxi on those fresh mediums compared to the old softs of James. Should make that stick. James isn't giving up, but just simply doesn't have the room to fight back.
Yeah, Maxi had the inside line there, and seeing in real F1, driver who has the inside line doesn't often leave much room at all on the outside, but Maxi was comfortably ahead enough, I think, entitled to the racing line. So James Laws couldn't do much about it.
No, at that point, I think the corner had already been lost.
Yeah.
It probably would have made sense for James to maybe concede that and then try and get the run out the corner to try and get him back into turn 4. But he didn't make that decision early enough. As a letdown estate finally pits.
He's going very gingerly towards the pit lane.
He is.
I saw a yellow flag come out in that area of the track. Not sure if he had a little bit of a moment. There is a wing change going on.
He might have made a mistake coming into the pit lane.
So
he may have rode the curb on the inside, which on this game can spin you.
yeah.
So yeah, it looks like he's had a little incident coming into the pits, but again, he had such an advantage to the guys behind. He hasn't really lost the position, has he?
Yeah, I'd say we see is that Xerxes lapping CHM and Prev.
Yeah, I think Prev has taken advantage on Xerxes lapping these two, and Prev's actually got ahead of CHM while Xerxes was lapping the pair of them.
Yeah. And Prev also getting a little bit of DRS to help him defend against CHM down into turn 4. And as we said, a great drive from Xerxes after that early pit stop up into the podium positions now, with a comfortable gap behind as well. It's looking for a great result on the cards for Xerxes after what looked to be a shaky start.
Yeah, it's definitely been a good recovery drive. He has definitely got the pit one more time, so as a result of the early pit stop, it is going to be a 3 stop for him, I believe. I believe they stopped twice. Yeah, he has.
Yep.
There will be a 3 stop. I think 6th place up, you're looking at a 3 stop for all those guys from 1st to 6th. 7th down look like they're 7th to 11th, sorry, looking like they're going to try and do a 2 stop. And then Silver Slugger's already pitted the 3 times at the back, who seems to have had a few issues today. Lost a couple of wings, and he's built up those penalties as well.
Yeah, really unfortunate for him as well as his teammate now, as what looked to be such a good day for Haas. As Blood and Sand was up into 2nd at one point before he was disconnected, unfortunately.
Yes, he was. He had worked himself up the P2 and hadn't pitted either.
Yeah.
At the point he disconnected, so it's a real shame for Blood and Sand. He's had a real upturn in form over the last few weeks, getting himself a couple of podiums in recent weeks at Baku and then again at France last time out.
Yeah, I think Silva Slugger was up in 8th at one point as well, so was looking good early for the Haas team, but as of now, not quite what they were hoping for as we come to the closing stages here in Austria. Well over the halfway point at this point. And things have really settled in.
Yeah, they are. Everyone's just relatively spread out at the moment, so it's a case of just... Yeah, they're just driving around, trying to keep it in one piece, and if they can close on the guy in front, then that's an added an added bonus to them and to us as well for the commentators. But yeah, at the moment there isn't any battles out there right now.
Yeah, I think just looking at the strategies, which a lot of times it happens in Formula One where there's battles in the first stint and maybe a little bit at the beginning of the second stint, but then really at this point in the race everybody's sort of on their own, doing their own strategies, but then that final stint is when the culmination of those strategies comes together and we see a lot of battling for position. Hopefully we get that today, as we see all these drivers, a lot of different strategies up and down the grid. So hopefully some of those overlap in the last stint.
We can only hope. I think the number of broken wings we saw at the start just hasn't helped the course as the race has gone on, because of those broken wings and early pit stops at different times. It has just meant that the strategy has just ended up being quite erratic for a number of these people, and it has just split them up, and yeah, they're all just driving around on their own at the moment.
I think everyone except Maxi and Silva Sluggo will be pitting again. So still a lot can happen. So we see most everybody on the soft tire, and just those two, Maxi and Silva Sluggo, just recently going on to mediums, which as long as they avoid any incidents, should comfortably get to the end without another stop.
Yeah, that medium tyre obviously was a tyre that Cal didn't fancy in the early stint here, did he?
Yeah.
Starting on that tyre, but whether it was the combination of the medium and the heavy fuel, or just the fact that the guys around him were all on softs, he pitted over, it was only 12 laps, I think, 12, 13 laps he pitted off his mediums to get himself onto the softs and turn his strategy into a 3-stop, just to run softs right to the end. As Cal didn't use any of his softs in qualifying, as we have another yellow. Silver Slugger again. He's lost his wing completely this time. Again at turn 4, that's at least the third time I think I've seen him off at turn 4 today.
And it'll be tricky getting through the rest of the lap with absolutely no downforce on the front of that car.
Yeah, thankfully for him, I think as he navigates to the pit lane entrance, there's no one coming up behind him to potentially mix up with. That's Silver Slugger actually causing that yellow again as he navigates the pit lane entrance. We've had James Laws and I think Old Dads have both just navigated through the pit lane for what should be their final stint. James Laws onto the softs, Old Dad's onto the medium. A different choice there, and Xerxes now making his final pit stop.
So softs to the end should be the popular choice among these who have one more pit stop to go. And we see James Laws and now Xerxes on the softs, as we see.
Oh,
I think James Laws causing a yellow flag there.
Yeah, he's also had a spin at turn 4, and again another one who's lost part of their wing. The right hand side of his wing is missing, having just made his pit stop.
Yeah, that's really not ideal, as he's another one where it was looking so good for James Laws early in the race. We had a racing point 1-2 for a good part of that first stint. But this is not the way he would have wanted his race to go after having such a great start.
Yeah, it's a real shame. Yeah, he did lose a wing, or part of a wing earlier on in the race as well, which I didn't actually catch. But I think at his first stop he had to replace his wing as well, which is what took him out of that P2 that he had at the time. But yeah, the early stint, it was looking really, really good for Racing Point.
Still not a bad day for Racing Point.
Yes, I was going to say, it still is with Woody out in front. James Lawler's regained in 8th. Just in front of, I think that's Xerxes coming up to lap him. Xerxes hasn't got, I think Xerxes has been put off a little bit there.
Yeah.
He's run out wide and Max is only 1.3 behind. Xerxes is on the fresher tyres though, so Maxi would have to do very well to be able to capitalise on Xerxes.
Yeah, hopefully the lapped car doesn't continue to put off Xerxes. Although ghosting is on, blue flags do want to get out of the way when you're being lapped, and luckily Xerxes is able to work his way through there in the last couple of corners.
Is that the race leader behind? That's Woody behind them.
Woody is nearly catching Xerxes in 3rd. He is miles ahead. And if there was ever any questions as to why Cal and Woody are making their way to AL1 next week, look no further than this race right here. It's quite
I think you're
obvious.
Why.
Yeah.
Last week at France, though, I mean, I know it rained at the end of the race at France, but London Sands, who finished 3rd, actually finished 2 minutes behind Woody, who won the race. And once again, Woody is no penalties, absolutely amazing pace, and is now navigating through the traffic till he's lap P4. He's about to lap his teammates for the 2nd time, as well as Dino's ghost car, and then it would be Xerxes ahead. Xerxes is on younger tyres, so it'd be interesting to see if Woody is actually able to catch Xerxes to lap him. I think Xerxes will do everything in his power to make sure that does not happen. But the fact that P3 is just up the road for Woody, that just shows the pace difference there has been. But also don't forget, Woody has kept his nose clean, and Xerxes did have to pit for a wing on lap 2. So it's not a true reflection of pace.
Yeah, and we spoke a bit before the race as well that there's some tracks where Woody and Cal maybe aren't. There isn't a huge gap in pace between them and the rest of the field, but even when there are guys similar pace to them, the race pace and the consistency that Woody and Cal have shown throughout this season has really been unmatched throughout the rest of AL2. It's been really impressive.
Yeah. It's been really good to watch because my first commentary with you guys was at Canada, and Canada is notoriously known for a high amount of penalties. You can really rack up the penalties so easily, even when you're seemingly taking the racing line and driving properly. The game still decides to penalise you there, and Woody won the race quite easily. Again, he checked out at the start and just controlled it. To not to get a penalty around a track like Canada really just show the class of driver he really is, and he's really been a challenge to Cal in this championship.
I think that's something to watch for next Wednesday for everyone out there who's been interested in this AL2 season so far and wants to see Woody and Cal fare in AL1. It's going to be really interesting to see them really being tested and pushed every lap. of the race. And as you say, Woody, the huge gap, no penalties. He's doing it again here today. He did it in Canada, as you said, but it's looked so comfortable for Woody, and that's a credit to his pace and his consistency. But I think AL1 will be a great test for him and Cal, and it's going to be great to see next Wednesday.
Yeah, it'd be interesting as well to see how these two work together, as these two will be teammates in the McLaren. So not only are they going to have a completely different approach with finding themselves within the pack in AL1, they've now, up until this point, they've been rivals. They've now got to completely change that and start working together and build up those race results. And what that will mean going forward for AL2, that should mean we should start seeing, you know, the battles that we see sort of for P3, P4 become the battles for the lead.
Yeah,
hopefully that'll be something for us to look forward to going forward for AL2.
What we saw last season, I think there was a point where we were like 6 or 7 races into the season last season and had a different race winner each race. It was that sort of competitiveness in AL2, and that's really what we like to see. And hopefully, as you say, we'll be getting back to that sort of competitiveness and fighting for race wins, because after Woody and Cal, it seems to be somebody different every week challenging for that 3rd spot. So now we're going to be having those challenges for race wins instead of that 3rd step on the podium. It's going to make things a lot more interesting. It should be fun.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. And as you say, it's not always the same person in P3. Some weeks, or some points in the race, I've had, you have Xerxes up there, Maxi can be there, Old Dads, James Laws, Blood and Sand, Sega de Cos, you name it.
Yep.
There are a number of drivers there. Let Down Estate. It should open up to very exciting battles right through to the end of the race for the top honours, and that can only be more enjoyable for them, knowing that they can actually look at battling for the lead now. But I say for us as well as commentators, it will mean that we just got a lot more excitement to look forward to.
Yeah, and Cal, having just come in for a fresh set of softs, means the gap out in front is now 52 seconds between Woody and the next closest car. That's nearly a lap here at the Red Bull Ring between him and the rest of the field.
At this point in the race, Woody is lapping in the sort of 1 minute 6s, 1 minute 7s. So yeah, 15 seconds or so. That would be a lap. To put it in perspective, Woody is navigating turn 4 and Cal is at turn 8. Woody will obviously be pitting for the 3rd time as well, which will bring that gap back down. I think once he will obviously already seen that Cal's pitted, but he'll probably wait a few laps, try and get that fresher tyres, and then go for that. Take back the fastest lap that we would probably expect Cal to take off Woody at the end of this lap. As Cal once again uses the overtake that he seems to have all the time.
It'll be interesting to see those sort of habits that they've gotten into where, as you said earlier, it's a good strategy to be able to save up your overtake. But also in AL2, Cal has been allowed to save his overtake because he hasn't really needed it to battle with anybody for most of these races. And now
he gets
a little out of sorts there through turn 9, but set the fastest lap of the race, 105.1.
Don't think he was too happy with a letdown estate there. He seemed to sort of move towards him on the pit straight there. Almost showing a little signal of intent of... we nearly saw a repeat of James Law, I think, with Cal. He's causing the dart to the left there for a moment. Took a little inhale of breath there. I think we'll see Woody come into the pits in the next couple of laps to react to not only Cal pitting, but also to react to get that fastest lap back. And I think there is time there still for Cal as well, considering he did go wide through 9 and 10 on that lap to set that fastest lap. So there is more time there if there is the tyre life available to him to set a further fastest lap.
Yeah, and at this point of the race, this is the optimal time to be setting a fastest lap, having burned through all of the fuel that these cars started on. There's no refueling in Formula One these days, so they just start with a full tank. But as they get to this part of the race, that 100 kilos, 110 kilos, whatever they start with, is down to just a tenth of that. So it's a lot of weight lifted off of these cars, which means a bit more pace and fresh tires to go with it. That is the optimal conditions for a fast lap, which is normally why we see those purple lap times being set around this time. And we'll keep an eye out for Woody Wolfe when he pits, if he decides to have a go at it.
Yeah, it's the more equivalent of the quali spec at this part of the race. Low fuel, fresh tyres. The only thing they don't have in comparison to quali is they don't have that additional engine mode, and they just don't they can't leave it in a hot lap mode because they don't have that setting available to them in the race. Cal did go for the fastest lap again that lap around, but was 700ths off his best lap the second time around. So maybe the tyres just not hanging on for him. So I'd expect to see Woody pit again. I mean, we haven't seen anyone really take a soft tyre more than sort of 22 laps today. So I think Woody has actually done one of the longest stints we've seen on the softs. But if you look at the sort of race strategies, that does say the softs can go 30 odd laps. So in theory, Woody could go to the end, but surely he won't. Surely he'll pit with maybe 5 laps to go and just go for the fastest lap, knowing he's got that gap, so he doesn't have to react into the pit lane so quick after Cal does.
Yeah, according to Pirelli, which, you know, take it with a grain of salt, in real life and in the video game, you can sort of disregard these numbers, but Pirelli do say that the soft tires can go a maximum of 33 laps. So it is doable for Woody out in front, but as you say, such a big gap behind. There's
he pits now.
Yep, and in comes our race leader into the pits. As we say, no reason not to go onto some fresh tires, have a go at the fastest lap, get that extra championship point. And he's still got a comfortable gap behind as he's coming out. And we'll keep an eye out on his next lap when he starts. That will be the lap where he'll be giving it the beans, going for that fastest lap of the race.
The only real battle that we might see out there between now and the end of the race is, I've just noticed James Laws is getting onto the back of Prev for P7. There's 1.5 seconds between the pair of them, and that gap is slowly coming down with James on the slightly fresher tyres. James, of course, recovering, having lost his wing on his outlap, having pitted onto the soft tyres not too long ago. So yeah, that might be a battle to keep an eye out for, but I'm going to keep on board with Woody here and just see him go for this fastest lap. Does have traffic ahead of him.
He might get a little DRS. It might help him here if that Ferrari gets out of the way in a safe manner. And it does, so free DRS down towards turn 2 and 3, and that'll be a huge help. Is a purple sector 1. So far so good for Woody. Got the power down nice and early out of turn 3. See him using as much overtake as he can down the straight through turn 4. You want to use as much as you can through those first 2 straights because you're not really going to deploy much over the rest of the lap. So you want to make use of it while you can. He's kept it nice and tidy here through the middle of the lap. A couple of tricky corners, but he's managed it well, and just 2 corners to go now. Swings it into the downhill right-hander, and another. A very clean, smooth lap for Woody, and we'll see if he takes the fastest lap. Yes, he does. 104.4. Fantastic from Woody. And that's really just the icing on the cake for him today. What a drive from Woody Wolfe.
It didn't even look like he was giving it everything either.
It was so smooth, wasn't it?
It was so smooth, and he was leaving so much margin for error to ensure he doesn't get any track limits. If he really went for it, that could have... I mean, yeah, a lower 4. I would doubt to have got into the 3s, but that was a very good lap considering that it looked like he was definitely leaving some margin for error. Meanwhile, his teammate is making that move on Prev that I mentioned a few laps ago. Around the outside at turn 4, Prev sticks on the inside, but James with that traction holds it on round the outside and has got the track position going into turn 6.
James Law's doing what Alex Albon couldn't round the outside at turn 4. Even though it wasn't, completely Albon's fault, but well done for James Laws for making that move, because it can be a tricky corner to overtake round the outside. He did well there. Prev still might be in with a shout of keeping that position due to the penalty situation. Just go back to that screen. James Laws has 9 seconds. Prev only has 6, so if he can stay within 3 seconds, as we just have a little over 5 laps to go here. So Prev will be trying his best to keep within that 3-second window, and he'll keep 7th if he can do it.
Yeah, that's the best he can hope for now, or he'd be hoping that, but James maybe builds up another penalty on top of that, just to give a bit more margin for Prev to try and keep hold of 7th overall. Everyone who has a penalty, we're pretty much varying between 6 and 9 seconds. DHM has got 3 seconds, Silver Slugger's got 18 seconds unfortunately, but he's in 12th place anyway, so that won't... the position drops won't have any effect there. But Woody, once again, not getting a penalty so far, with 5 laps to go. Still without a penalty so far. Would be quite intrigued to see if he's actually got any track limit warnings at all.
Man, this is maybe not as bad as Canada in regard to track limits, but those last 2 corners, as well as on the exit of turn 6 and turn 7 as well, there's really a lot of places where if you just run a little bit wide, and the racing line is just right on the edge of the white line, so any sort of mistake results in a warning, and Woody just seems to not have an issue with that. It's great to see that type of consistency for 68 laps and still having less than 3 warnings throughout the entire race. It's really impressive.
Yeah, it really shows the kind of race he's had when in. I think we'll find out that Woody's only mistake is that he's only got 1 warning. That is his mistake he's made. He's accumulated 1 warning this entire race, and that was on lap 57. So it's just, yeah, another smooth, clean drive for Woody, and the pace to boot as well. It's just the perfect combination. Once again, Cal might be wishing I'm not doing commentary, because every time I've done commentary, Woody has gone on to win. So I know he's still moving up to AL1 next week anyway, but yeah, I don't know if that was just a little superstition there. You never know.
Maybe Woody would have been wishing you'd been here from the start of the season, and the championship standings might look a little different.
I think it would look a little different if Woody was here from the start anyways. He didn't start in China, did he? So, yeah, what would the championship positions look like if Woody had been here from Australia?
He has certainly come on strong these last couple of weeks. It's been great to see. And it does seem like the rate at which Woody and Cal are continuing to improve their pace as well is something that they were already front of the pack at the beginning of the season, and now I think they're just distancing themselves more and more each week.
Yeah, definitely. They've just been making those improvements like anyone aims and looks to do, but they're just finding more and more pace, which just means that they find themselves further and further out in front. And on a track like this, where normally you would expect things to be a little bit closer, with the shorter lap and the fact that, you know, slipstreaming DRS is so effective around here, for Woody to be 50 seconds ahead of Cal is, yeah, it just really shows the pace advantage that he has right now. As Cal's gone for another stop, isn't he?
Yes.
That's why it's 50 seconds. He's run out of softs, so he's going for the medium tyre, but yeah, 50 seconds. And everyone up to and including fourth, one lap down.
There's quite the gap out in front as our race leader now starts his final lap of the race. Lap 71 out of 71. Woody Wolfe put it on pole. He had a comfortable gap in qualifying, and he never looked back from there. Got a great start, completely checked out, built a gap up on the first stint, and that gap has only grown as the race has gone on.
Yeah, the first 5 laps was pretty much where the damage was done. He built a 5-second gap, so he was over a second a lap quicker than the pack in the opening 5-10 laps. And he's just built it up and built it up from there. He's not pushed the car, as we saw when we were on board with him for his fastest lap of the race. He does not look like he's been pushing that at all. He's kept it within himself, and it's been another fantastic victory for him today.
Yeah, it might be in AL1 next week, but for now it is 3 in a row for Woody Wolfe as he wins the Austrian Grand Prix in AL2. One of the best drives we've seen, just absolutely flawless from the Racing Point man. And Maxi, old dad's crossing the line in 4th and 5th. As we now have a mix of cars. A lap or two down, crossing the line. Prev in 7th, James Laws in 8th. Silva Slugger crossing the line, confirming his race finish. And now the other man who will be saying farewell to AL2. A big challenge ahead of Woody and Cal, but they take another 1-2. They'll be teammates next week. We'll be hoping for a result like that in AL1 as teammates. A 1-2 for Woody and Cal. And that rounds out our Austrian Grand Prix in AL2.
Yeah, another really enjoyable race to watch. It did kind of fade out a little bit towards the end with the difference in strategies and very much looking forward to seeing how they cope with us and where they fit in. And Xerxes once again, and good recovery drive. Take P3.
And so we'll just take you through the final classifications of our Austrian Grand Prix. Wheel2wheel getting his third win in a row and fastest lap to go with it. Cal in second. Xerxes in third. Maxi in the Renault getting fourth. Old Dad's fifth. Letdown Estate getting sixth. Prev in seventh. James Laws in eighth. CHM in ninth. And then Blood and Sand and Dino both disconnecting, unfortunately. Their cars finished 10th and 11th, with Silva Slugget finishing 12th. We hope everybody enjoyed that race, and now we are lucky enough to be joined by our 3 podium sitters. Well done to all of you for a great race. And we will start, I guess, with the man who finished third, Xerxes. You had a bit of a crazy start to that one. Had an early pit stop. Just talk us through what happened there.
Same as usual, mate. Have a mistake, lose a wing, end up at the back, and have to fight my way forward. But I don't know. It's all good fun.
Well, yeah, you certainly did cut your way through the field, though. And do you feel that you could have maybe challenged those top 2 if you had a clean race from the start?
I'm not sure. I was still about a second off. I think I was trying to push for fastest lap when I did my last pit, but I just couldn't get it. And obviously Woody pitted towards the end anyway and absolutely dominated it. So I don't know. It's hard to say, innit? Maybe. I don't know.
Well, of course, you reserve in AL1 a good bit, so you'll be seeing Cal and Woody on Wednesdays still, but as far as Fridays go, what do you think the rest of the season's going to look like with those 2 moving up? It really opens it up for the possibility of race wins for a lot of guys, including yourself.
Yeah, it does. It's a tough one. I think there's obviously going to be less races. With already how many was there today? 10 races today.
12.
So,
yeah.
Oh, was it 12?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. It's not my decision where they go. So I'll just leave it at that. I don't know what's going to happen. I'll just leave it there.
Well, it'll definitely be interesting to see who's fighting for wins now that those 2 are moving on up. And Vern, if you got anything to ask Xerxes?
No, it's just to say, after your I mean, we didn't catch what happened to you at the start. Where did you obtain your damage?
I braked late and went into the back of Cal.
Oh, okay.
And I was still on turn 3.
Oh yeah, I think we actually saw you recovering to track, but we didn't actually see what happened.
Yeah, just a late break, unfortunately.
And then we're seeing you coming through the field. And I think you had another spin coming out of 3 again. Was that right?
Yeah, quite lucky actually, because I was going so slow I didn't go into the wall, so I didn't lose a wing. So I just lost a bit of time. I think I was behind Prev.
Yeah, it's one of the Ferraris. I think it was.
Yeah, I hate that corner.
Yeah.
But do you think P3 where you've ended up was probably the best you could have hoped for today anyway?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I say, these guys are just, their consistency is up there with the boys in AL1. So unless they make a huge mistake where they lose a wing or a wheel, I don't think I'll be able to catch them. The pair of them have improved massively.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, I just hope, you know, I don't know what it's like just sitting at the top and winning. I don't know, like obviously it's fun winning, but then you're missing out on the competition as well. But yeah, hopefully I think they'll fare well in AL1. Obviously I'll be there because I'll reserve anyway, so they can't get rid of me.
Yeah, well, we look forward to seeing them, and congratulations on a great recovery up into third. Well done, Xerxes.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
And now we'll move on to Cal, who finished second, and he is currently our championship leader, but it seems like these last few weeks, the man who's going to be your teammate has been a really competitive rival for you these last 3 weeks. It's 3 in a row for him. And is there anything you think you could have done to close that gap today, or is he just too quick?
No, not today. I knew Woody's really quick around here. We've raced a few times around here. He's always had the pace around here. So, I mean, France was pretty close. I mean, I feel like he's either got the pace on me or there's certain tracks I can match him. There's not really anywhere that I'm quicker than him. So it just depends whether it's a track that suits him, in which case he'd be quite far ahead, and if it's a track that I'm better at, then we'll be quite close, I think. But I mean, like you say, I'm happy to be moving up to AL1 with him. Going to learn off him what I can, whether it's line setups, whatever it be. So it'll be interesting to work with him, and hopefully we can sort of represent AL2 well in AL1. I mean, it's going to be difficult, the competition around, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, of course. And me and Vern were both talking about it during the stream. Is both of you boys were at the front at the beginning of the season when you both first started out, but it seems like that gap between you two, the rest of the pack, has just grown each week, and it seems like you guys have really been improving at a rapid pace. What do you think is the biggest thing that you yourself have improved so far this season that's made you quicker and more consistent?
Well, I mean, so the last game I played was F1 2012. I think I did a few laps on F1 2013. Came to F1 2020 in February, was it, something like that. So I did some laps with the assists on and things like that. And about 3 days before we did Australia, the first race of the season, I took traction control completely off, manual gearbox. So I think just the continuation of race after race, refining, getting better at the traction out of corners and things like that, and then obviously short shifting and all these things that you learn. I think that's just where I've made a step up. I think you'll see Woody's made probably 2 steps up. So if you look from China, he's stepped up again. So, but yeah, I think that's the main reason that I've got quicker. I'd just like to touch on as well. When Xerxes lost his wing first in or near the start of the race, I actually didn't realise he hit the back of me because I had no feedback at all. It didn't look like I didn't vibrate or anything, so I had no idea. I just thought I went really deep into the corner. I was like, what? I went to turn into the corner. Thinking, why's my car going so fast? I had no feedback from the incident.
It wasn't, I think because we were both braking, it wasn't that much of an impact, but it gave me an orange wing, and
yeah,
I tested it for a lap, but you were just pulling away, and obviously we were both on mediums, and I thought, well, you know, I'm going to have to change it.
I was expecting to come flying down the inside when I went deep. Well, I thought I went deep, but obviously the touch must have sent me across. So I was really shocked by that. But yeah, I mean, aside from that, the race was pretty straightforward. I think it was Woody controlling it, me controlling second, and I think obviously Xerxes seemed to be in control of third. So I think it was just getting the laps finished.
Yeah, Vern.
Did you not have a very good feel on those mediums at the start? You'd pitted very early on your mediums at the beginning of the race. Was there a reason for that? Was it just purely just didn't feel nice? What was the main reason for that early stop?
I think I knew Woody was far ahead. Like I said, I knew before the race he was going to have the pace around here, so I just really trying to consolidate second. So I knew that being on the quicker tyre for most of the race was always going to be the best, especially after the start. So I start P6 or something like that, and I got my way up to P4, I think. But I knew both James and who was it in front? Maxi, wasn't it? Maxi were both on the quicker tyre, so I thought, well, I'm keeping up with them on the medium, so if I just go soft, then that will consolidate second, really. And then obviously I pitted at the end in hope of trying to do a good lap on the mediums, but it wasn't going to happen. That was it, really. That was why I pitted so early.
Yeah. Well, It was a great race from you, Cal, and we look forward to seeing you next Wednesday in AL1. Wish you the best, and thanks for giving us some great entertainment in AL2 so far this season.
No worries, I'll see you next Wednesday.
Yeah. And now our race winner and the man who's made it 3 in a row, who will also be moving up to AL1, Woody. That I know it's never as easy as it looks, but I mean you controlled that from qualifying all the way through the race, and that was. Is this just a track where you feel really comfortable? Because it certainly looked like it out there today.
Yeah, I don't have any trouble with this track. I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, did spend a couple of days working on a setup, which I was comfortable with, and then yeah, it was a pretty controlled race after that. Just covering Cal for the pit stop, even though the gap was quite big. I think if he started on the softs, it would have been a closer battle. But yeah, it was fine.
Yeah, and so looking ahead to next Wednesday, and me and Vern, both as AL1 drivers, are really excited about you guys moving up. Have you guys been paying attention to AL1? Do you guys have any sort of expectations going in of where you hope to be, or are you just going in trying to do the best that you guys can do?
Well, yeah, I have an expectation of finishing in the top 10.
Okay.
And I expect it to be a lot more competitive. I've raced with you in AL1 a couple of seasons ago, so I know how it is with some of the drivers. It's quite a difference in pace. But I'm happy to go and fight for the points. That's going to be the objective.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
And we're happy to work with Cal as well. We're going to try and do the best we can for the team.
It'll be nice to get them McLaren seats filled as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me personally, I raced at China, in AL1, did okay. I think was it P7 I came, but it was a bit of a dodgy race where there's lots of safety cars, and it sort of I think had more of an effect on the where I finished than anything. So, but I think like Woody said, if I can get into that top 10 in a couple of races and be around, just battling, I'm really excited to battle because I think you've seen the last 3 races. I've done about 200 and something laps, and I've not had to really do an overtake. I think Xerxes went off wide today, which I got a run on him, so it wasn't really much of an overtake. Maxi and James were in the pit, so I think it'd be nice to get to learn my racecraft because I've not really had a chance to. Although AL2s allowed me to get some consistency and work on the fundamentals of my driving, I think it'd be nice to take that into a more side-by-side action where I've got to react to cars around me. So I think that's what I'm hoping to get from it personally, as well as getting points. It's just being able to race side by side.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to ask Woody, when you set your fastest lap on your final stint there, was that you giving it everything you had? Because we were on board with you, and it looked like you were just leaving so much margin for error to ensure you weren't getting any track limits. It looked like you left a good 3, 4, 5 tenths in the bag. What was that? The same opinion for you, or?
It was me going for it. I was even in minus fuel, so I was going for it just to do it. But I just made sure I only had one warning the whole race. So
yeah, I noticed that. I did have a look.
I just wanted to keep that penalty count to a minimum. I knew it could come in handy if there was a safety car later, for example.
I thought you were supposed to get as many as you can.
I had a feeling there'd be a safety car. I'm quite surprised in a way. It's good for everyone that we haven't had a safety car in 4 races, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
But I really thought we were going to have one today, so I thought, right, keep the penalties to a minimum, because then when the pack comes together, you've got a little bit of an advantage. So
yeah,
I didn't push it all on maximum.
Yeah, it's certainly. I don't know if it was just a perspective from spectate mode, but it definitely looked like it was comfortable.
It was very, very smooth.
That fastest lap. It was very, very smooth.
I'll have to check it out if there was an onboard.
Yeah. I was on board with you for the entire fastest lap there on my stream, so definitely give it a check as if it seems to coincide with what it looked like from your point of view at the time live.
What is your account?
It's just my name, so Joe Vernon, VERNON. It's literally that. I did link it in the on I'll link it into the AL2 chat so you can have a look at it.
I'll check it out.
Well, thank you boys for joining us, and congratulations on another win and that fastest lap to go with it. Cal and Woody will be in AL1 next Wednesday. Should be great to see. And then that opens the door for a number of drivers to be looking for a win next week in AL2 as we go to Great Britain. Really enjoyed this one, and we hope to see everybody again next week. Thank you for watching, and take care, everybody.
Love you.